Hello everyone, and welcome back to our Unsettled Journey. In today's video, we wanted to take a trip down memory lane and share some of our favorite travel photos that we've taken throughout the years that have some of our favorite memories.
So throughout the years, we've accumulated countless different photos of our travels throughout the years, and we'd like to share some of them with you today.
Now, before we get started with today's video, we always encourage you to subscribe and be a part of our journey. If you are interested in seeing more of these travel photos and memories, we do have an Instagram page. It's at Our Unsettled Journey. You can head over there and follow that for updates on our lives that we may not post here on YouTube.
So now let's get on to our very first travel memory. So the very first photo is of me and my friends when we went to Disneyland. So this photo was taken when we were on the Cars ride, and it was honestly one of my favorite rides and memories of my travel experience. Mainly because we just had such a good time together, and the ride, I've never ridden it before, this is my first time riding it, was just so it was so different than any normal experience than just any other boring roller coaster. You know, it creates a whole environment, and it was just really, really cool to see. It's definitely fun to experience it with some friends as well, and it just added to the overall experience of the trip.
So I chose to share this photo because, number one, it's a good photo, and number two, I had just gotten to Australia, and it was a bit of a journey to get from the US down to Sydney, where I joined the ship. This day I went to a wildlife sanctuary in Melbourne, so I flew from Pennsylvania, where I lived at the time, down to Sydney. Took about almost a whole day of travel. One of the flights that I had was Dallas, Texas to Sydney, Australia. It was a full 17 hours straight flying. After joining the ship, the very next day we were in Melbourne, and this was one of the first experiences I had of Australia. So this day I was on a tour that took us over to a wildlife sanctuary where they had various animals that are native to Australia, and of course a full area where you would be able to interact with the kangaroos. So I had one of the other passengers on the tour snap this photo for me, and it turned out really, really well, of me feeding the kangaroo. After we spent a few hours at the wildlife sanctuary, we went over to another part of Melbourne called Sovereign Hill, which is an old-time kind of gold rush town where you can just freely explore and see some other various sights. But after traveling for so long, it was such a cool memory to be able to go finally, because Australia had been on my bucket list for quite a while, to go down and see this really awesome wildlife sanctuary, feed the kangaroos, and interact with those animals that we don't have in our zoos up here.
So the next photo here was when we went on a cruise ship together. And this was our very first cruise together, and especially my first cruise overall. So this photo obviously has two rainbows in it, and right before we were departing the ship to get onto shore, it was pouring down rain, and we were thinking, oh my gosh, you know, what's gonna happen? You know, our whole day is ruined. But luckily it cleared up quick, and it was just a passing by storm, and it led to these wonderful, beautiful rainbows. And that day was also very fun, in particular because we rode jet skis out in the open ocean, and it was just one of the funnest experiences that I can ever imagine.
This photo I wanted to share because it's a really strong memory for me when my family and I rented a large cabin in the mountains of Tennessee. We drove down to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and stayed in a cabin with mostly my mom's side of the family, but my dad's sister got to come along, and her husband, and my brother came with his kids. And it was a really special trip because both of my grandmas on my dad's side and my mom's side were together, which hasn't happened very much since my parents separated at a young age. But the trip was really neat overall. Even though the weather wasn't ideal for doing much outside, it pretty much rained the whole time, we were able to, as a family, watch movies together, play games in the cabin. The cabin had a hot tub, we had a great view of the mountains, we were able to cook dinners together, and it was pretty much the only time in my life that that amount of family got together at once. So it really meant a lot to me, and I love this picture that we all got to take in front of the staircase at the cabin.
So another photo I have here is of Hanauma Bay in Hawaii, on the island of Oahu. So this bay was created by a volcano that just got filled in by the ocean water, and it created all these different sort of wildlife right in that bay that's very unique to that bay. And Hanauma Bay has fish, starfish, and different types of coral that's really, really cool to see. and I've never seen anything like it in my life, and you can actually see them right up close and personal. So that was just a really cool experience overall, and definitely experiencing it with my family was one of the best things about it. So I'd highly recommend going there if you're ever out on the island of Oahu.
So this photo I love because Matt and I actually took a trip down to watch the solar eclipse that happened back in 2017. So we were living in Pennsylvania at the time. We decided just to go down, travel about 12 hours in the car to Nashville, Tennessee, so that we could watch the eclipse happen. We only had a weekend to do it, given that our jobs we couldn't have much vacation time, so we drove down in the afternoon, spent one night in a small town in Kentucky at an Airbnb, and then in the morning of the eclipse, we continued our drive down into Nashville, where we saw the line where the path of totality would cross, and previously had researched a park that was hosting a watch party. I specifically remember the drive being crazy long, and it was within the first year that Matt and I actually met, so this may have been one of the first trips that we took together. The eclipse happened in August, so it was very, very hot the day that we went, but luckily we were blessed with great weather and we were able to see the eclipse in full without any interruptions. And this picture is also cool because I have a shirt on that a family member made, which I actually have right here, and it is a solar eclipse shirt that was made specifically for the event. And of course, as you can see, it is the scene from The Lion King where they're singing the Hakuna Matata, but they changed the moon to look like a solar eclipse. So it was really cool to get to wear that day, and it was one of our first travel experiences together. And another thing that made that trip so special was after we were done watching the eclipse, which happened around maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we got to explore Nashville for the rest of the day. Now we were leaving the following morning very early, but Matt actually surprised me with reservations at a restaurant that was completely underwater. And here in the States there is a chain restaurant called Aquarium, and by chain I mean there's a few locations around the US. Similar to Rainforest Cafe, Aquarium is an underwater themed restaurant that has various fish tanks around it so that it makes you feel like you're dining under the sea. And this picture always makes me think and laugh at the crazy drive we had there and back in just about 48 hours.
So we appreciate you sticking around here and letting us share our travel memories with you, but we would like to know what your travel memories are. Please comment below about your favorite pictures or memories from travel, and give this video a big thumbs up, as well as subscribe to our channel to follow our journey. So we'll see you all at the next video.